Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Live with GoImagine. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. You're going to have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. And today we are going to have another interview with a special guest that I'd love to introduce you to. So, for those who don't know me, my name is John Lincoln. I'm the founder of GoImagine, and oftentimes I like to pop into our community and interview various people throughout the handmade world or from the charitable world that I think it'd be great for our community to get to know better and just get a feel for what else is out there in the world. In the past, I've interviewed some of the charities we've donated to. We're going to have another charity coming up soon that we can speak with, so you can learn more about the charities we're donating to. I've interviewed some e-commerce trainers that have done tips and tricks with us, teaching our online sellers on what to do when they're trying to sell, maybe with photography or SEO, and we'll be doing more training videos. But today it will be a video based on the community. What else is out there in the world? What else is going on in the handmade space and other organizations you can connect with that could possibly help you with your handmade journey in the craft world. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the founder of Craft Industry Alliance. Everyone say hello to Abby Glassenberg. What is up, Abby?
Hey, hi, John. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm excited for you to join us as well. I just checked, comments are rolling in. People are saying hello, so hopefully that means they can hear
Hi,
us.
everyone. Yeah.
So Abby, I first met you when we started this marketplace, our crazy journey with GoImagine. I had reached out. I found out that you lived locally to me, so that made me want to say, hey, you're a few towns away. Let's get together. And it was about 2 years ago we met. I
hmm
remember I drove out to you in one of the worst rainstorms
Rainstorms ever. I was
ever
like, I
driven.
can't believe this guy is driving through this rain just to see me for lunch. But you made it. I was impressed.
I had to row myself there down the highway, but
It was crazy.
I'm pretty sure it was like 2 years. It was after the pandemic kind of loosened up. It was like, okay, you can.
Right.
And I think I had so much cabin fever and I had a lunch date. I was like, I'm going.
Woo,
I'm
let's
getting
go.
out of
Yeah.
the house. I haven't left the house in 6 months. And I think you're the first person I'd ever gone to see besides like the grocery store and 10 masks. But when we did meet, I really enjoyed hearing about your story and your journey with what you've been doing now for almost, how long has it been? How long have you had craft industry?
About 7.5 years.
For 7.5 years. So let's start with the basics so everyone understands what you do. Can you tell us more kind of the why you founded the Craft Industry Alliance?
Sure, absolutely. And John, I love what you're doing with GoImagine. So
I
kudos
appreciate
to
that.
you as well. Yeah, so Craft Industry Alliance is essentially a new kind of trade association for the craft business, for craft businesses. So we provide three big things. One of them is news coverage. So we felt like there wasn't really a great business to business news outlet for the
Mhm.
crafts industry, like there are for most other industries. And we really deserve to have that. So we pay writers and reporters to write news articles that we publish on our website about what is happening in the industry. So that's one arm of what we do. The second piece is, oh, there's our website, fabulous. The second
Mhm.
piece that we do is education. So we offer, just like you're talking about training sessions, we offer a webinar every month taught by an industry expert. So our webinar for this month, or for April actually, that's coming up, is going to be taught by Holly Howard, who is an expert on creating systems for your business so that
Mhm.
things can run more smoothly, so that you can hire a virtual assistant or somebody to help you if you have those systems in place. So that's an example of our educational offerings. And then the third arm is networking, just ways for people to get to know each other.
Mhm.
We really feel like nobody wants to work in isolation. It's lonely, it's hard. So we have online community for that. We meet online for our craft business roundtable once a month where we all get together. We have a private Facebook group, which I know you all have a Facebook group as well.
Yep.
So we have a private Facebook group that's just for our members. We have mastermind groups where we pair members up into small groups of 4 to 6 people to work on goals together. And so networking is another big part of what we do. And that's what we offer. So it's everything great that you might get at a trade show, but online, virtual, available to everyone, accessible to everyone all year long. We have members all over the world. And right now we have 2,060 members or so. So that gives you a sense of who's involved.
Okay, wonderful. And I
Yeah.
also saw here, I'm just going through your site
Yeah.
now, and there's also some sort of discounts you provide if you're a member. Like,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. So you can see them there. So one of the things that we thought was really important is to be able to offer discounts on pro tools that help you run your business, whether that's shipping, marketing, educations. We
Mhm.
offer discounts on things like Skillshare, Creative Bug, Sticker Giant, Mail Munch, all the different things that you might need. We actually have a health insurance benefit if you need to get health insurance for yourself or your business, the business partner or the employees in your business. So yeah, this is our discounts area. Payroll, all kinds of stuff. Show insurance if you're doing a show. So super valuable. And a lot of our members tell us that they save as much in discounts as the cost of their membership. So it pays for itself.
Yeah, this feels a little bit like AAA, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You get all
'Cause
your stuff.
because I know whenever I think we went to Disney World a year ago, and I got some AAA discounts, and that just
Mm,
paid for the entire membership of AAA, right?
totally.
Yeah, no, this is wonderful, and you mentioned insurance, and
Hmm.
being in the marketplace economy, gig economy, share economy, whatever you want to call it, but anyone who's doing this full time, benefits like that are difficult to come by, and having you facilitate a little bit of those type of benefits so they can actually get access to it is actually a big thing. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and we
Um,
also we also have a jobs section. So the other piece that I always felt like was it was really hard to find paid work in the industry, like a single place that you could go where you could find paid work. And so we send out a newsletter every week, and we have a jobs and opportunity section. There's also that same section on our website. So if you have a service that you provide to the industry, like you're a photographer, you're a tech editor, that kind of thing, you're a virtual assistant, you can list your service there. Or if your company is hiring, you'll get great leads if you list your job there because it goes out to our email list, which is just about 20,000 people, and you'll get really targeted leads of people who are craft business owners who work in the industry, understand it, speak the language, and really are interested in those sorts of opportunities. So that's another service we provide.
Okay, that's wonderful. And who? Tell me more about the membership. Like, who are the members? Because I know you have some large organizations that are members, but on the GoImagine side, we're obviously more handmade, smaller vendors. Tell me about how both groups get involved and the benefits of having both sets of groups within the same trade organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So it really is open to anyone who makes a living in the craft industry in any way, which means that we've got lots of Etsy sellers, lots of GoImagine sellers, people who are just making things maybe out of a spare bedroom or from a
Mhm.
home studio, and selling them online. So we've got lots and lots of members who fall into that category, maybe are doing craft fairs as well. And then we have people who have outside of the home studios with a few employees who are doing small batch, manufacturing production. We have a lot of brick and mortar store owners, so people who own a yarn shop, people who own quilt shops or craft studios. We also have a lot of manufacturers, so the fabric companies that are out there, the yarn companies that are out there, the beading companies, people who manufacture all kinds of craft components. We have a lot of them. And then we have really big companies too, like Bernina, like these really huge companies. And for us, the feeling was, and still is, that having all sizes of businesses in the same organization together and having businesses from all sectors of craft in the same organization together really benefits everybody. Because first of all, we're all facing the same, we're all kind of aiming to do the same thing, facing the same issues, whether,
Mhm.
we need to sign a contract, we need to get insurance, as you mentioned, we need to do marketing. We all kind of have the same issues. And we're also all serving the public in the same way, which is to say we're creating things that people can do in their spare time to express themselves creatively. So that kind of unifies everybody. And when the conversation includes everybody, we get a richer and more interesting conversation. So that's who the members are.
Absolutely, yeah, no, and I think that's wonderful. Um, what made you start this? What was like the reasoning behind like you even getting involved in this?
Good question. So, I was a craft blogger first. I started a craft blog in 2005, believe it or not. It's called While She Naps. You can search for it, it's still out there. And so I was a craft blogger for a really long time, 15 years. And through that, I got to know the business side of craft just because I ended up writing some books and doing some licensing and all that stuff that comes with sort of having a craft based business and different opportunities. And started to be introduced to like, okay, we all need to understand intellectual property. And yet I didn't go to law school. I didn't, we all need to understand how to do our books, but I didn't go to business school. I'm not an accountant. So, like many people, I got into this because I really love to sew. And then had
Okay.
to figure out all the rest of it, and so that's what inspired me to start. I actually co-founded Craft Industry Alliance with a friend who also had a craft blog, a sewing blog. And we were like, there's a lot of trade. There are already trade associations for the crafts industry, but they're really focused on a trade show. That's really what they provide.
Right.
It's just like once a year, twice a year, fly to this place. That's what you get when you join the association. And we wanted to provide all the other things I mentioned before, education and networking and news, virtually in this new sort of way that would be accessible to everybody. And so that was the vision.
Well, yeah, accessible sounds like the right word too, because makers are all over the country, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily have the resources to fly out to a trade show,
Right,
right? This definitely brings it to their home, essentially, so they
right.
can get involved. That's interesting. We talk a lot about this too at Go Imagine, how a lot of makers and artists, they get involved because of their passion to make things, their passion for
Mm-hmm.
the art form they have, and they by default have to become a business person, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you've got to find a way to make a living off it. So now you've got to, like you said, you have to learn all the ins and outs of running an e-commerce site or accounting and all this other stuff that nobody likes to do. But you have to, quite frankly, you can if you want to succeed at what you're passionate for. And I always say that about business in general, is that, you know, they always have that term, like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But the reality is that I think you can do what you love, but that will come with some things you don't necessarily want to do. And I think that
Right.
that business side of making is, you kind of have to do it, and learning it can be tough if you don't know where to
Mm-hmm.
go or who to talk to.
It
So
is hard. Yeah, it's totally hard.
yeah, no, I think it's great that this organization even exists. So let's shift from Craft Industry Alliance and talk for a moment about the industry,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, in the craft industry now, the handmade industry, whatever you want to refer to it. I mean, what do you think of it right now? Where it's been, where it's going? I mean, it seems to me, and I've only been in it for a handful of years, or watching, I should say, for a few, like, is it changing? Is it shifting? Are things getting better? Are they getting worse? What are your thoughts in the industry right now?
I think the pandemic was really good to us because everybody was stuck at home, had free time, didn't have plans, couldn't go anywhere. And so people wanted to make things with their hands. It helps you feel productive, it helps you pass the time, creating something concrete, getting back in touch with what matters. So, there was a huge uptick, obviously, in sewing when everybody needed to make masks. We finally had the zombie apocalypse. Everybody
Right.
realized they needed to know how to sew, and the people who knew how to sew had a huge advantage. So everybody wanted to pull out their sewing machine, learn how to use it. People were knitting, making sourdough, all of that stuff. And that was really important for the crafts industry. It was a really important moment for us. And I think as the world opened up again, I think people really also value their small businesses. They saw how difficult the pandemic was for the small businesses in their area, and they really wanted to support them. They realized how much they value them. And so I think coming off of all of that, those experiences stay with us. And, it's our job now to continue that momentum, to continue to create that excitement. People also really want to gather now and have experiences. They want to be in
Mhm.
person. They want to connect again. They miss that. And so the hunger to be out there in person again, whether it's at a retail store, taking a class, or having some kind of experience together with their friends or making new friends, is super important. So again, it's up to us as crafters and craft industry professionals to figure out ways to provide that for people and to continue their excitement and hunger.
Right, right. It's interesting because you bring up the pandemic, which is, top of mind for everybody, because we'll be talking about this 50 years from now. You remember the pandemic. Um, and it was strange how, you're right, there was this surge of online buying, surge for masks, obviously. But as the world has opened back up, there's been a dip in e-commerce because now people are back out there. And if you look at the tech industry right now, it's in, I don't want to say in shambles, but there's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of craziness going on because there was this artificial growth during the pandemic because everyone was home, and it's now come back down to earth a little bit. And in terms of online sellers for Handmade, especially on the Etsy front. By the way, we love Etsy. When we talk, it's always about the handmade industry as a whole, but in Etsy in particular, they grew 2 million new sellers in a couple of years because everyone was home and they all went to the biggest elephant in the room for selling, which was Etsy for Handmade. And now you're seeing a dip happen with the amount of e-commerce sales, and it feels to me like there's I guess call it a market correction happening, where there was, if you look at and I don't want to nerd out on stats or anything, but if you look at the slope of growth of handmade and e-commerce, it would have been a steady growth up through 2023, but instead it was this big spike, drop back down, and there's still growth from 20 to 2023. There was just this weird spike in the middle. And I hear a lot, I'm wondering if you hear this when I'm in forums and I hear handmade sellers talking, a lot are saying, sales are down from last year. I'm having trouble with sales. And they're all, what happened? And it feels to me like that artificial bump has a little bit put handmade sellers in a false expectation from last year and what they could expect this year. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I hear that. And I think you're right. There is a correction happening. At the same time, anyone who was ever like, oh, I can't buy hand-dyed yarn online because I need to squish the yarn, I need to see the lavender shade in person. Anyone who had that objection has now bought hand-dyed yarn online because during the pandemic it wasn't possible. So if you wanted the yarn, and you certainly did because you were at home for days on end, you bought it online. And so sort of that objection has gone away. We've all bought everything online at this point. Anyone who had never ordered food has ordered food, etc. So I feel like that has gone away the same way that anyone who had never done a video conference has now been on Zoom. They all understand. Anyone who'd never taken an online class has now taken an online class. So, that's all happened. And I feel like that's in our favor. So yes, that false, jump is going to come back down. There's going to be a market correction. People overhired. Some of these layoffs are just because, they were sort of duped into thinking this was permanent. And of course it wasn't permanent. And so that needs to be corrected as well. But in the end, we do as e-commerce sellers, I feel like, benefit overall in the long term.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I can see that. And tell me about, on the craft supply side of things. 'Cause I know you work with craft suppliers in the industry, not just the crafters themselves. And Michael's just released the ability for craft suppliers to sell in their marketplace. Are you seeing anything from the craft supply world that is intriguing to you on the Joanne front, the Michael's front? I mean, the marketplace to me jumps out that they're now going down that path, which I guess becomes a competitor to Etsy's craft supply part of their business.
Yeah, or to Amazon. I mean, it's sort of in between. I feel like it's kind of positioned in between because, like Amazon, when you sell on the Michael's marketplace, you have no access to your customer, right? So on Amazon, you're not able to email your customer or market directly to your customer in any way. And it's sort of similar to that. So, I think it's an interesting new player. It gives you access to Michael's audience, which could be valuable over the long term. It could be very difficult as a supply seller or inventor or whatever it might be to get your product on the shelves of a big box store. I mean, it's a big ask. It's difficult to do. And so, this gives you the ability to do that basically without having to go through all of those hoops. So I think there's some excitement there. There's some possibility there. I think we have to wait and see what the volume really looks like. So we need to talk to sellers on that marketplace 6 months out to see what's really going on, and whether it's, it's really happening.
Yeah, I'd be curious, like from our own sellers here, if they've had an experience buying from Michael's now, but buying through one of the third parties.
Right. See what that experience is like. Absolutely.
Well,
and they're kind of hidden. Like you and I had talked when we were first looking at it, because they're hard to find. It's not as though you go to, okay, these are all the third party sellers and they're in a separate section. No, they're like
No.
intermingled, and you may not even realize that you're buying from somebody else. And that's how it is on Amazon. You don't even know. And there
Yeah.
are people who don't realize that Amazon has third party sellers. They just think
Right.
it's all Amazon. And I could see why you would think that. It's kind
Oh,
of
it's the
hidden.
same thing with Walmart. Even more
Yeah,
so, people don't realize Walmart's a marketplace.
they don't.
But some things you buy on Walmart are fulfilled by Walmart, and some things you buy on Walmart are filled by someone else. And you might not find out till almost after you buy it. And
Right.
that is an interesting way to approach a marketplace because, you know, GoImagine obviously takes the exact opposite approach in the sense that some marketplaces want to own the customer, own the brand, and you can sell on our marketplace, but the consumer is really interacting with our brand. And then there are marketplaces like GoImagine and Etsy to a degree as well, where people are well aware that the marketplace isn't fulfilling it. I'm not buying from the
Right.
marketplace. It's just a conduit to get to the third party through the marketplace. And it's
And that's nice. Yeah.
yeah, and they're both marketplaces, but they just very much have a different business model around
Right.
how they operate, right?
Yeah, and you as a maker get to decide what's going to be best for you, what aligns with your values, where do you want to be positioned. You don't have to do all of them. You can just do one or do one and two, or also have your own website. I mean, the nice thing about today's sort of landscape is there's a lot of options.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's where Amazon Handmade I've always found intriguing, right? Because Amazon Handmade's been around a while. I'm sure they do really well because it's Amazon and everyone buys on Amazon. But in the same breath, I think the average consumer doesn't think Amazon when they think handmade, right? So there's a little bit of that kind of like, brand stigma, I'll call it. Because, if you're buying something special that's handmade, do you want coming in the same box as, the toilet paper you purchased off Amazon as well? I don't know, but it's a branding thing.
And I think what I've heard from handmade sellers on Amazon is that the Amazon customer is used to a certain culture, I guess. And so they could be pretty rough. Like they really, if they want to return it, they want to return it. There's no niceties, I guess,
Right.
and I think that speaks to what you're saying, which is that they don't really perceive the person on the other end as being an artist. And again, like as a maker, you get to choose whether you want to be on that platform. And for some, it really works. It makes a lot of sense. You do fulfillment by Amazon and you can make it up in volume. There's ways to do it, but it's a different interaction, a different kind of customer interaction than, for
Absolutely. Yeah.
example, on GoImagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shameless plug for GoImagine. We're exactly the opposite, right? Like, so
Right.
our whole goal is to highlight. In fact, we're actually not to transition to GoImagine at all, but we're actually doing some upgrades on our look and feel to actually put the maker more up front. Really
That's great.
get it. Really make the buyer realize that you're buying from an individual, you're buying from a human, you're buying from this person, and who are they? Yeah, but I mean, it's from a business perspective, it's just a different approach,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
it does like I mean, Amazon has built the biggest business in the world. So I think the best approach for GoImagine is do the exact opposite, right? Because we're not going to compete with Amazon, that's for sure. But if we create a niche for those
Right.
who are looking for a difference from Amazon, that's where we come into play.
100%.
So talking about approaches, what's your approach to e-commerce for craft businesses? Right? Do you have any thoughts that you would share on a strategy for a maker online?
Yeah, and I think it's important to start by thinking about product market fit. I think as a maker myself, I like to make a whole lot of different kinds of things. And sometimes those things are, involve really expensive materials, really difficult, tedious processes. I enjoy the process, but that doesn't mean that the product that is created using those expensive materials or tedious processes is something that has a market that will pay for
Right.
that amount for that product. And so just
Mhm.
because I like making it doesn't mean there's a market for it that can pay the amount that it's worth, to pay me for my time and my materials, et cetera. And so I think it's important if you're going to be in business to find that product market fit. And a marketplace is actually a really good place to do that because you have the
Mhm.
opportunity at low or no cost, and really easy. So not a lot of customization needed, not a lot of coding. You don't really need to invest a lot of time on the tech, to put a product, and it can really just be one or two products out there and see how they go. See if there are people out there. Start an Instagram, obviously, to help to
Mhm.
market it, and see if people like it. Can you make it quick enough? Can you make it with inexpensive enough materials that this is actually a business?
Right,
And
right.
so I think that that is a great way to get started. Once you found product market fit, you can grow your business, add more products, variations on that products, bundles. There's all different ways to grow from there. And then once you can, you have confidence in the product, then you can start to say, well, maybe I should have my own website. Maybe I should branch out into other e-commerce platforms. But I think the better
Yeah.
way to start, and you can do a craft fair. That's another great way to find product market fit too. Because if you sit there and listen, people will walk by. They may not even talk to you. They're talking to each other, and they're going to pick up the product and say, oh, I could make that, or oh, it looks cheap, or whatever. And sometimes
Or it's
they're
way
very,
too expensive. It
it's
could be
rude,
anything, right?
sometimes very hurtful, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's, if you can get a little distance from it, it's actually incredibly valuable market research that you're able to witness.
Yeah, that's great advice. And product market fit, is really just, does the audience where I am want what I'm selling, right? And sometimes it's hard to decipher. So like a lot of times we'll have people in our community say, "Hey, I've not had a lot of sales. Why?" Right? And that why could be a number of reasons. They might have done all the work in the world on SEO, done incredible pictures, done incredible marketing. But to your point, product market fit but is what you're selling what people want? And if it's not selling, it could be a couple reasons. It could be it's an oversaturated market, meaning, yeah, people want it. There's just 100 competitors, and now that's why it's driving down price. Or it might be just a product that just isn't selling because maybe it's just not, while you love it, it's not what others are looking to buy. And how do you solve that? Well, one is to change up, right, what they're selling, or maybe it's the wrong platform, right? The audience. Um, if you're on one platform, it's not selling, maybe that audience is somewhere else and you can try somewhere else as well.
You can change
Um,
messaging, you can change pricing. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do, change to where the audience is. There's a lot of things that you can do. You're right, to be able to sort of fix the problem. But I do think that that is. I see it sometimes, and I've seen it with myself too. That sometimes you're just trying to sell something that nobody's going to buy for the price that you have it at,
right,
and
right.
then you just have to say to yourself, like, this isn't a business. This is something I love making, but this particular product is not a business.
Which honestly is fine. So so
Totally. Not
so I
every hobby has to be monetized.
yeah, yeah. I think that there's a lot of times in the communities that I'm a part of in the handmade world that there's this looming stress on, if you're not selling a lot of this, that you're wasting your time or whatever. But there's different types of crafters, right? Some need to make it a full-time business, which is perfectly fine, and that's one direction to go. Others, they enjoy the community, they might sell something once a month, but it's not about the money, and so they're enjoying it, right? And I don't think, I think that's just as valid as any other reason to do
Totally.
it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
um
Yeah.
so, moving on with what you're doing at Craft Industry Alliance, I know that it was last year you formed a wonderful partnership with a company called H&H, and you've brought together H&H Americas. Is that what it's called? And this is now going to the physical world. You were talking about the online world before, but can you tell us more about what H&H Americas is?
Yeah, this is a great note to wrap up on. So H&H Americas, as you said, is a physical event. It's a trade show, so it's open to the trade. I mean, it's business to business.
Hmm.
There's no consumers there. It's in Chicago. The dates are June 21st to 23rd. It's at the Rosemont, at the Convention Center in Rosemont, which is right near O'Hare Airport. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's a place for all the manufacturers of craft supplies, materials, and anywhere you might want to buy wholesale from had to have exhibits. Their booths, and there'll probably be over 200 exhibitors at the show, and all the retailers, designers, anyone, content creators, makers, professional makers, teachers, anyone who makes a living in the crafts industry is welcome to come and visit all of those booths, see all of those exhibitors. We also have classes. So there's 12 business focused classes and 4 master classes. There's a state of the industry panel that I'm going to be
Hmm.
moderating. There are keynote
Wonderful.
speakers. So it's really an incredible, there's our keynotes. I might know Kathy and
Hmm.
Justine is from the Woobles, which is an awesome crochet kit company. So this is a
Hmm.
chance for you to invest in yourself, learn and grow, make new connections, um, maybe buy wholesale if you're a maker and would like to cut down on the cost of goods sold. This is a place where you can go to buy wholesale, open some wholesale accounts.
Mhm.
even if they're pretty small, and get started with reducing your materials costs. So we would invite everybody who wants to come to come. Tickets are on sale now. They're $55. You can just come, walk the show. There's no credentials. You don't have to submit your, any business, stuff. You could just
Right, right,
come.
yeah.
We,
You
we
don't
want
have
to
to
meet you.
prove your craft worthiness.
You don't have to, exactly. So we would
Yeah.
love to see you there in June. I'll be there, and I'd love to see you.
Wonderful. Yeah. So this is in Chicago.
Yep.
So for our makers, you could certainly fly out, but for anyone who's local, this seems like a very, very easy thing to attend. And to be clear, for the GoImagine makers, this is more to be attendee, this isn't a trade show where you would be selling out with a booth.
Right.
This is more for you to be an attendee and see all the other suppliers and all the other craft people out there, and also go to some of the seminars and else. Is that correct?
Great. Yeah, great point. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a trade show. So you would come. I would suggest, if you're in walking distance or you have family in Chicago or have an excuse to come, just come, even if it's just for one of the 3 days, walk the
Right.
show, see what it's all about. You'll meet publishers in the industry. If you've ever wanted to publish a book, this is a way for you to meet them. If you've ever wanted to design fabric, all the fabric companies, whatever it might be, they're there. You can get some business cards, start to build your network, and do some learning as well while you're there. So it really makes a difference if you go to something like this than if you just see it all from home on Instagram.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. And sometimes seeing people in the real world is nice.
Yeah. So we invite you all to come, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. And if you join Craft Industry Alliance, you get a free ticket. So that's a little tip for
Wow.
you.
All right. Well, that was the reason.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
So you can go to hh-americas.com, or more importantly, craftindustyalliance.org, correct?
Correct. And we would love to see you. You can join Craft Industry Alliance if you want to, or just sign up for our newsletter, which is 100% free, and kind of get a taste of what it's all about.
Yeah, I'd recommend everyone here to sign up for their newsletter, because why not?
Why not? Exactly. You can always unsubscribe if it's not for you.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Abby, as always, thank you for talking with me. I'm happy that we finally had a chance to introduce you to our community. And I'm sure I will be talking to you again soon as the handmade world continues to pivot and move and change.
I always enjoy talking to you, John, and thank you to everybody who came today.
All right. Thanks, Abby. Bye now.
Bye.